Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 66 of Tell It Right podcast. We're going to continue last week's full moon conspiracy night and go more into the Navajo Skinwalkers. Next episode, we got some movies we're going to talk about, but otherwise, make sure you hit that subscribe button, share with a friend, and check out www.tellitRightPodcast.com to find all of our content. Thank you, and sit back, relax, enjoy the show.
Tell It Right Podcast.
Personally, dude, it's Star Wars. It's falling.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. This is
No. Like that's where I'm
Light of
kind
the
of
dark side, like 100%.
yeah, and that's where I'm getting at with it because like there's been like I've seen like recently like they've translated Star Wars to Navajo, and all these Navajos in Navajo Nation were coming out to see this, and like the elders loved it, and we're basically walking away like, yeah, it's how it is, like not like the lasers and lightsabers and all that shit, but the idea of the Force, the good and evil, and the dark side, the light side. They're like, that's exactly what it's like, and then like how everything's connected and and all that. So like the Navajo people really believe in like that whole Star Wars idea. Like maybe they don't call it the Force, but they believe in this ability that allows you to be connected with the entire universe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, but there is a light and then there is a dark side. And the dark side is the Skinwalker. And so there's this guy that I was watching on YouTube, and he basically said it's like it's all within the Navajo Nation. So Navajo Nation is pretty much Colorado, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, but it's between these four mountains that hit in every one of these states. So it's pretty much around the Grand Canyon and this other radius. But like within that, like there are these certain spots, and these medicine men would go down and basically they'd go on these like journeys, these adventures, and like it depended on what road they took, but if they took the right road, they would become the medicine man, and they would be able to come back to their tribe and take care of them and whatnot. But then if they went down the wrong path, then that would be the path of evil, and then they would basically all the good would be sucked out of them, and they would eventually go through the ceremonies that would allow them to be what's called the Skinwalker. And so for some of the things I was hearing about is like the first thing about becoming a Skinwalker is you got to kill like a loved one. So someone direct to you and your family. So your wife, your kid, like something like that, right? Like, and that's kind of fucked up. Or your grandparent, your parent, someone that's direct to you, someone that you love. Now, this person wouldn't go into details on some of the other stuff because they said it's pretty gruesome. But from what I'm getting out of it is I think you do some pretty fucked up shit with the person you kill. And you do some kind of ceremonies with that and whatnot. But then at the end, you end up killing an animal. And then you skin it. And you got to put these inscriptions into the skin and all this. And then you wear the skin. And then somehow you transform into this animal. And now you have the powers of this animal. Now you have the strength, the speed, the intelligence and all this other shit. And so there's that. Now, what I was kind of explained to in the same guy, he was saying is like they're not like they're like normal people in a way. They're just not like because they're evil, they're just going out maliciously killing people, right? They're really only killing people if there's a threat to them, But for the most part, like they just kind of have their own spiritual way, and it's in wherever they're at, they draw the good out of everything. So it's just like if you're around them, like you start feeling heavy and like you feel like something's wrong and, you know, anxiety and all this shit. But like,
So it's like when Luke was on the Dagobah system
yeah,
and he was wondering what was in the back there, and Yoda was like, "Oh, that's where the dark side is." And he had to go in there,
right.
and he chopped up fucking Vader, and then his face blew up, and it
Yeah.
was his face.
No. I mean, like, that's so Dagobah is actually, yeah, that is a planet that is favored to the dark side, and that's why Yoda went there. That's how he was able to protect himself from being seen by the Emperor or Vader, is by basically balancing the Force out with his goodness and that evilness that rose there.
So it was the Rick and Morty episode where all the Mortys were on the outside of the building blocking them.
Exactly. Oh God. But no, I mean, but like I find this very interesting. Like I want to learn more about it. I'm going to be in Arizona in a few weeks, so I might try to.
This isn't the first time I've heard of the Skinwalkers and this and that. It's
No,
really
I've heard of
popular there.
Skinwalkers. Yeah.
It's really popular, like the Southwest and then like
Yeah.
Mexico and stuff. And like they even had it on. I like that show Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, you're right.
And they did a thing where they went into like a cave and like they were talking about skinwalkers and everything in the area, and then the lady made them drink like this tea, and they didn't realize that it had like kind of some peyote in it. So everybody got like super high off of it.
That's awesome.
It was all filmed by TLC or Discovery Channel, whatever it is. Travel Channel, that's what it's on.
But hear this though, like this is what is kind of cool about all of this that I was watching on this guy on. I'll have to send it to you. This guy was basically saying like him, his brother, and his uncle are like fucking demon slayers, and so I was like, this is fucking cool, and like because this guy's telling like he's a Navajo guy, like they don't like talking about this. Like from what I was reading. They don't like talking about this within themselves, and they don't like talking about this with outsiders because they feel that it draws this negative attention. But it sounds like if you're like somebody that like has no fear and you don't fear them, like you're gonna talk about it, and that's kind of what I'm getting out of this guy, and like that's why he's doing it. Like again, like I don't know if it's real or fake. I hope like it would be cool if it was real. But like it sounds like he is literally it's like supernatural. It sounds like the show's supernatural. Like him and his brother are fucking slaying fucking demons of the Navajo on the Navajo Nation. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. He's like, yeah, dude, he said that one time they went and did this investigation and they found this shack. That's where they tracked all this evil energy to. And so he was told that he was too young to go inside because, like, this energy could make him sick because he's not quite at that level yet to fight this. And so he understood, he stayed out, and they're like, if anything tries to come in and stop us, you need to stop them. And so he's basically telling the story that he's had they hold swords and shit. They got these weapons, and, like, the only weapon that he really talked about was a sword, and I'm like, dude, that's fucking badass. They're like Blade. They're like fucking Blade, dude. Just like fucking in the middle of the desert, demons are fucking popping out of everywhere, and they're just slashing demons like crazy.
Remember that movie? It was like vampires with James Woods in it, and like, do you remember that movie? Like, it was in the Southwest.
Are you talking about From Dusk Till Dawn with George Clooney?
No, it's like that. Which I love that movie, but no, this is called Vampires. It's with James Woods.
No.
Yes, look it up, and it almost has the same feel.
Dude, that's awesome. But no, like, yeah. Here's the also crazy part of what this dude was saying. So, like, he had this
that wasn't the crazy part. Them
no,
with swords.
no, because he said like as his like brother and his uncle were going through like these boxes that were in this like this like shack in the middle of the desert. One box they opened up, a woman screamed, but there was no woman anywhere. And like what was weird is there was a picture of a woman, and then like some like stones and shit. And like they didn't know what the fuck that was, but they were just kind of like that's weird. But then like the next box they opened up was actually they called it the Skinwalkers regalia. I don't know what they mean by that, but it was like some kind of ceremonious like skin that this skinwalker like its trophy or whatever. It was like a old buck. And I thought this story was interesting because they took that and it had a really evil vibe with it, but they took it back to their like settlement or whatever, and they built a bonfire and they did a ceremony to basically bring back the soul of the buck. Okay, this is what's cool about this. So they're going to bring the soul of the buck back and then give it the opportunity to find the fucking skinwalker that killed it. Like, this sounds crazy, right? And so he said while they were doing the ceremony, like, he could see, like, at the edge of the light, because they had, like, a big, I don't know, like a floodlight somewhere. And, like, he says he remembers seeing, like, the outer edge and how you could see nothing beyond the light, you know? Just, like, when you're in the dark and you have a light beaming on you and it's, like, it's hard to see beyond it. But when you walk beyond it, like, it's a lot easier to see shit, right?
Yeah.
But, like, he couldn't see anything. But then all of a sudden, he just saw these shadows that looked like people walking back and forth. And so, like, him and his uncle got on guard. They're like, because his brother's like, people are going to try to stop this, too. So make sure they don't while we do this. And so while this was happening, finally the brother gets the skin into the fire, and these fucking shadows disappear. They run off. And then I guess, like, a few moments later, you just hear a loud scream and then nothing. And so what this guy was saying was that was the fucking spirit of the buck. Okay, so I'm talking about an animal. Like a fucking animal spirit came back that was brutally murdered by this thing and came back and did what it needed to do to get its revenge. And it was and most likely killed whatever this was.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fucking wild. That's what the Navajo people got to go through, man.
These fucking people are fucking drinking peyote.
Maybe,
like,
or maybe
no
there's something to it.
But I mean, so while the Native American have, who knows how long they've been established for, you know, probably people better than I would know, but
I would say 3000 BC.
Okay, so 3000 BC. Who are the people in fucking Egypt passing down for their crazy stories and shit? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I feel like the less science there was, the more they had to come up with stories to determine what things were for whatever reason. Like, it could be like, hey, this guy's fucking retarded. Like, we know he's got like retardation now. But back in the day, it was like, oh, he's got a demon in him. Go kill him.
But no,
you know what I mean?
But Jared,
you know what I mean? Like their explanation for abnormal things was through their religion. And I'm not saying that this story is like wrong, but I mean, you could look at it from a standpoint of like stories from all the way back, like you know, like even like from like a lot of Eastern European stories and stuff that we still even talk about today, like you know, Santa Claus and fucking Hansel and Gretel. And,
well, Santa Claus was created by Coca-Cola for real. I mean, Saint Nicholas was the actual
Yes, that's what I mean. Like,
story
that
like that.
whole. Yeah.
But the fat guy in the red suit with the jolly fucking rosy cheeks is Coca Cola. They did that. Fuck them. But no, what I wanted to say though is like what this guy is talking about in recent times. So it's not like he's telling stories from the ancient times or whatever, or from before Americans settled on the land.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about like he's actively hunting apparently skinwalkers with his family. They're like
I mean,
they are supernatural. They are the show Supernatural.
I get it.
Yeah.
But like, okay, it's the fucking 21st century. There's a camera everywhere.
But not in
Like,
Navajo Nation though. That's the thing.
those motherfuckers have cell phones. Like, don't give me that bullshit.
They
Like,
do.
They are not. They're not like that far behind.
But
yes,
what
they
if
still dance around fires
Okay.
and chant and shit? But they still
hold on
live
though.
normal lives. They live in trailers and shit with
But,
heat
like,
and electricity.
This might what I don't know how to put it. So like what if the Navajos do have these understandings of these abilities? Let's just say. Like we don't know a whole lot about Native American cultures in general, like what their deep parts, like their deep beliefs. We know very little because they have held on to that. I mean, mainly because of all the shit that white man has done to them. And they feel that if they share this with the outsider, that they're just going to exploit it and destroy it. So, but like back to the Navajos, like I mean, like what if they do it? What if these medicine men, like what if it through deep meditation they have these abilities to, be telekinetic, be telepathic, and fuck with frequencies or whatever through song or whatever to heal people and all that shit. But like with that said, now you got the Skinwalker who has similar abilities but is now just quite evil. What if they do have the ability to create an electromagnetic field that does fuck with the phone, and like maybe somebody does try to take the photo but they can't because the phone. Now I haven't heard stories like that, but like
I get like
if we get into this paranormal, if we get into the idea that this paranormal ability is possible, that could be a reason why this has never been caught. I mean, here's the thing. There is a lot of reports of the Skinwalker, and not only just with natives, but like with outsiders too. So people that aren't native. But there is no proof of it, just like Bigfoot, and whatnot. Now, I'm not going to say UFOs because there's some pretty fucking good evidence of UFO.
There's a lot better pictures of UFOs.
Exactly.
But like,
yeah.
It's like, okay, like the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot and all these things where like every fucking picture of them is always like super blurry. Like, I'm sorry.
Right.
Like, why? And the other, it like kind of brings me back to this too. Like, I could take a picture out of my goddamn window and it would look amazing. With a camera phone, just sitting right there. Every time somebody comes on TV that, oh, this person robbed a bank, it's like, what kind of cameras do you motherfuckers have at your banks that these people look fucking ridiculous?
You know what it is?
Blurry. Blurry.
You know what I think it is? So, like, if you send your photo or your video as a text message, your phone downgrades it and it looks like garbage.
Yeah.
Like, somebody fucking sent it like that to the news company, and that's all they got. It's like
somebody had an Apple phone and they sent it to a Samsung.
Yeah, like dude, just email it, you fucking douchebag. Like, fuck. Fucking
I swear, like
get a Dropbox link, you moron.
That's what it always looks like. It's like anytime there's something supernatural or something that nobody would believe, the video footage of this is just like the most amateur shit from like 1996. where it's like, oh, we took a VHS of it and we just copied it over to DVD, and here's a digital file of it.
Well,
Like,
I'll tell you what. If you look at my documentary, TJ Japcon's footage of the lights that we saw over Tinley Park. I mean, no, I'm not. I mean, it was back in 2000, what, or 2005, 4, or something like that.
mhm,
Like the camcorders at the time had the little DVDs in them. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like that's what he had, and that's what he captured it with. And I would say his is pretty good. He is somebody that like that's the problem when you watch a lot of UFO videos. They don't focus on the same thing. They start looking at the fucking space around them for whatever fucking reason, and and that's how it's easy to throw fakes in there because like you
yeah.
have somebody that's frantic and they start looking all over the place, and then like it's not focused on the actual thing, and then you're kind of like, well, what the fuck's going on? If they just stood still for a second, I could get a good look at it, and they never do. But he did. He actually kept his fucking focus on it, and that's like any UFO investigator that tells you talk to him and you're like, hey, some advice, like if I see a UFO, what do I do? You aim that camera on there. You don't fucking zoom in. You don't try to do anything. You just get it on camera and you keep focused on it. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
don't do.
I think this kind of goes along with like, and we've talked about this before. Like,
Yeah.
the more fake content you put out on there makes the real content look fake.
Well, yeah,
You know what I
that's.
mean? So it's the oh, look, there's a some kind of natural gas fire that caused lights in the sky over here.
Yeah.
You make it sound so implausible that any real plausible story sounds dumb too.
Right.
So it's that making people's true stories sound implausible by having a bunch of fake stories at the same time,
Yeah.
decrediting people that actually have real stories by, and that's that government aspect of it, where it's, again, they're like, oh well, we have this is unidentified, you know flying whatever.
Yeah.
They don't even call it a UFO anymore. So it's
UAP,
like
baby.
yeah, UAP. So it's like, oh yeah,
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
yeah, we don't know what it is, but you know, we'll show you a picture of it, and you know, we don't even know what it is. And even the footage that they show, like, oh, we're gonna have fucking Tom, fucking what's his face from
Dilhong.
Blink-182 show
Yeah.
you this, and you're gonna believe him that it's a fucking real story. And then you're like, this motherfucker is from Angels and Airwaves, and you're trying to make him some ambassador, and I'm supposed to believe this. Like the other day, he was singing about fucking moms and stuff, and like wieners, and
Yeah.
like I'm supposed to believe that he's fucking the ambassador of of UFOs and the extraterrestrials, and that the problem with, he could be 100% on, he could be telling 100% of the truth,
Yeah.
but it's just his credibility is so gone because of who he is and what he does. And
Well, that
it's
was
like,
supposed
why
to be
choose
the.
this fucking guy? Like, I get it.
Well,
Like, okay, he's in with the
hold on.
with the kids, but
Let
they're
me
like
let me bring
20
it
years
back.
behind.
Let me bring it back here. So, Tom DeLonge apparently is the one that figured shit out, and he started reaching out to people and asking questions, which then sparked the attention of Jim Semivan. I can't think of the other guy's name. It's like Christopher something, and then just basically all these guys that are within the government. So Jim Semivan's with the CIA. I can't think of the other guy's name, but he was part of. It was either George Bush or it was part of George Bush's administration, and he was like the Secretary of Defense or something, or like that, or like the Assistant Secretary of Defense. And then there was Dr. Hale put off, and then there was another guy from one of the, like, not Boeing, but like Northrop Grumman or something. There was a guy from there. And so basically, because Tom DeLonge was starting to ask these questions, he was going up to these retired people and asking these questions, it sparked this attention. And so somebody got a hold of him and basically said, we want to meet you at this location here in the desert. Well, apparently that's Area 51. And so he drove out to Area 51. He went in there. They brought him into a skiff. And they started asking him about, what do you want to talk about? What do you think? Basically, we want to hear what you have to say. So he tells the story. He doesn't exactly say what he talked about, but he's basically like, so I've been looking into this, and I see there's a lot of bad things, and there's a lot of misinformation on there, but, like, I really think the situation, he basically thinks the situation is, we just don't know what the fuck this is. And we've created all this secrecy that's created all this, like, crazy fucking ideas out there, right? Like, so the shit we always talk about,
Mm-hmm.
And, like, but really it's not that. It's kind of something more dumb. It's just, we don't really know what it is, and nobody's really stepping up to trying to figure it out. And so, whatever, they had this meeting, and it assumed that it was going to clear out, but then it was pretty much two guys. He doesn't name these people, but I'm assuming who they are based on everybody that's involved. But two people hang back, and one of them, I believe, is Jim Semivan, and the other one is the guy this guy that runs Northrop Grumman or whatever, or works within one of those defense contractors. And this is basically where they reveal to him, like, so you want to talk about aliens? Yeah. So what? They exist. What's the big deal? What do you want to know about them? And then that's where, like, Tom DeLonge was like, he goes, well, I think there's, like, a conscious aspect to it. Like, again, I don't know the exact conversation that went down, but, like, these are the main points. Mm-hmm. And, like, he comes out and he says something about consciousness, and all of a sudden these guys' eyes light up, and they're like, and then all of a sudden they talk for hours about consciousness and how, like, it runs the aircrafts, it basically drives all the technology that they've looked at and shit like this. So that's kind of where Tom DeLonge comes in. So it's like, it's hard to say, but, like, Tom DeLonge claims he sold himself to them. He said, listen, I am the guy that has this demographic that ranges from young teenagers to fucking, 20-year-olds out of college, all the way to, like, people in their middle age right now. And maybe even beyond that, in their 50s. So, like, he's trying to sell the idea that he has access to pretty much all these demographics, and that if they work together, that they can create media, they can create all these things that can seed the idea and kind of just let this flow out, So that's what he's been working on with To the Stars. They make movies, they make comic books, and then that's where Angels and Airwaves comes in. Angels and Airwaves is supposed to be this experiment for, basically, now the music nowadays is to push towards disclosure. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but, like, it's like subliminal shit where it's talking about aliens exist, and it's not like the original song Aliens Exist, but it's talking about the stars and all this shit. And then he's got movies, he's got books that they wrote, fictional books about this stuff. And it's all this part of the plan to get everybody on board with the disclosure. And so when it does come out, that there isn't this chaos, because that's always been the worry behind it, is you're going to have religions that collapse. Like, all society is going to collapse because people are going to realize we're not the only thing anymore. And that, like, why why fucking work anymore? Why do anything? Why allow this society to keep continuing when there is like a greater being out there that can fucking kill us by just, you know, smashing us with their finger or something like that, you know?
The lizard
Right. But let's get into that. Let's get into the lizard people.
I mean,
we can do it.
I don't really have much on that whole aspect, but I mean, really, what it comes down to is that this kind of gets into the whole flat earther thing. You know, it's not so much that these are beings that are from this planet, though, and they are of the higher power than us, right? They're just a greater being.
Yeah.
And they are controlling us. You know what I mean? Which can kind of get you into that skinwalker thing, because they say a lot of these, you know, lizard people are
shapeshifters.
Shapeshifters. Which is kind of the same idea that, you know, you hear of skinwalkers are kind of shapeshifters. You know?
Have you ever got into David Icke, learning about reptiles and all that?
No.
That's a good sort. That's a guy that has a lot of good shit on the whole reptilian thing and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really delved into it. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the whole shapeshifter thing. You know, everybody's kind of got their own thing, but
they do, right?
Like every almost religion has their own version of that, which makes you think that, okay, so if all these religions have their explanation of something, they all had the same experience,
right?
You know what I mean? So,
I mean,
what is bringing that experience to all of these people?
And
all
that's
these religions across different areas.
It's also the interesting thing about Navajo is like, what I do know is like some of their beliefs are that they are a star child, that they came from the stars, that like they were placed on this planet, that they didn't come from this planet, which I find very fucking interesting. You know what I mean? And then having these abilities, you know, this different way of looking at the world, and it like they almost seem to be like this mystical people that have these power, like they like it just seems like Dungeons and Dragons, and then like the native people have magic powers and stuff like that. You know, but like the lizard people, so my understanding of lizard people is, so they're like a race that comes from, so they do come from the stars, but they ended up going subterranean, if that makes sense. So like, so I guess it depends on what theory. Like if you get into like the globe theory, maybe they're on the other side of the ice wall or whatever. But if you get into like, this other theory is like they basically receded themselves to the subterranean, and only few of them come out. But those few that come out are the ones that are manipulating the world, manipulating them. Like, so I can't remember if like humans were like, I guess what it was is like humans weren't slaves for the fact to make products or, you know, make goods and send it back. But there's something with the reptilians where they feed off negative energy. And so, like, when you look at our world and the negative energy that it creates, like, they're all feeding off of that. And that's why we have the fucked up shit we do, why people suffer and others don't, and, you know, and why there's favoritism opposed and all that crap. Yeah. So like, you know, for me, I've never really gotten into the reptilians, but like if you get into this guy, Corey, not Feldman, not that guy. Corey Good, that's his name. So Corey Good is this guy that claims he was part of a secret space program type thing, but only back in the 70s he was sent in. He basically time traveled. He was part of a program. He was like only 16 at the time, and so he was taken during like a vacation break, like a winter break or a summer break. He was gone for a week. And so basically, he said he was taken into this program. His parents thought he was going to like a camp or some kind of thing. And so what they did was they injected him with all this shit, and then he ended up going like into this like machine that like sent him back in time or somewhere forwards in time or something. And like this is where he started learning about the universe and like all these different alien species and shit. And like he said he was gone for like several years, and then he came back and they injected him with more shit, and then they sent him back to the time that he came from, and then he lived out his life again. But he said he always gets like images and like messages. He's in communication with people he's met, like, and I'm talking about different species of races and stuff. So there's like the bird people. I forget what he calls them. I think they're called the avians. Go figure, right? There's
Real original.
Yeah, right. There's the avians. They're like the bird people. There's the reptilians. Then there's the Nordics. So the tall white blondes and all that shit. That's about all I know. I feel like there's a couple other races, but like he was saying like some of his first experiences, and like he's claiming this was in the 70s. Like he gets aboard like or he travels to like Jupiter, and like there's like a base over there, and like it like what's crazy is he says he's handed a tablet, but it's like he calls it a tablet because he's seen like an iPad and all that nowadays. But like he said back then, this was just a piece of glass, and it was handed to me. And once I touched it, all of a sudden, images and stuff just started appearing. Like it was clear glass that turned into like a interactive tablet, and it like had all this information. And he's like, and I was able to read it too because it sensed like who I was in like my language and what I knew, which I was like, that's fucking wild. But it's just like at the same time though, like this guy he just seems like he's just the kind of a weirdo. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, don't they all?
Yeah, I mean some seem legit. Like I mean, I look at Dr. Greer. I don't think he's a weirdo. He like seems very legit, but I think the reason I see that is because he's a fucking doctor. He's a medical surgeon. So it's like my mind has to be like, dude, he's no bullshit. Like he doesn't believe in this kind of shit for no reason. Like
Yeah, but there's people that are nuts that still do good stuff.
I know. No, I know. But it's just like,
Like
it's like your brain tells you though, like this guy like fucking does open heart surgery. Like, why would he make up, like, the government has this whole secret space program and they got all these technologies and, like I will tell you
but
what,
I mean,
it's the
here's one
perfect
thing,
sell, you know, it's
But
like,
here's the one thing, like, while being a surgeon is sought as a very, very high position, it's still a job. You know what I mean? Like, yes,
yeah,
you have to have a good brain. You have to, have really good hands and this and that.
yeah.
But it's still a job, which I mean, the position does not mean that you have to be smart. Well, I shouldn't say that. The position doesn't mean that you have to
fuck, if I don't have to be smart,
what you know,
I'm gonna be a
doesn't
surgeon.
mean, yeah, because being smart could be a lot of different things. You know, to
Yeah.
look at, what's his face that was in the wheelchair? What's his fucking?
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, Stephen Hawking. I mean, he was smart, but he couldn't do surgery. You know, so like,
Jared, I am
yeah,
smart.
yeah. He
I
also
will
went
do
to
your
Epstein
open
Island.
heart surgery at
Yeah, I
Epstein's
wouldn't want that.
Island.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that motherfucker touching me with a knife. So I mean, there's different levels of knowledge, I guess you could
Yeah.
say, and just be like a rocket scientist could still, think, oh yeah, there's aliens and this and that. Just because he knows how to do his job very well and he's smart enough to do that doesn't mean, there's very socially awkward people that are
Well,
good at things like that have autism. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
I get it.
So I mean, there's
My
his
thing,
story just gets extreme because I'm a doctor, but then now I'm a fucking healer that goes out and we're all gonna fucking hum shit in the middle of the desert, and and then
and then aliens are
by
gonna come.
humming, yeah, then by humming we're gonna go to a different dimension. We're gonna call the aliens, and then they're gonna show up. Like,
I will say that is like the
there's a
weirdest.
line.
That is the
There's a
weirdest.
line.
That is the weirdest thing. Like when watching a Dr. Greer documentary. So like, you go through this whole documentary and it's like fucking, just like downer shit. Like your fucking government hates you. They're fucking lying to you. Like aliens are everywhere. They don't want nothing to do with us because we're just fucktards that kill each other. And but like there's all this technology that could change the world, but like we're just pieces of shit and it's never gonna happen. And then all of a sudden it just fades to him like, oh, but yeah, I got all my friends and all my family and I do these all the time and we do different meditations and we bring all we do first contact and we're making a difference in the world, and if everybody just meditates and opens their hearts, that the ETs are going to come and we're going to just be happy dandy motherfuckers.
Yeah, and that's where you lose me. Like if he was like,
Good thing he
"Hey,
does
I'm
it
a
at the
fucking
end.
surgeon."
If he did
Yeah,
that in the
if I'm
beginning, we'd all be out.
yeah.
Be like, who the fuck's Dr. Greer?
If he was like, "Hey, I'm a fucking surgeon. I believe in aliens. This is why."
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay. But then it's at the end. It's, well, we're gonna go into the fucking desert, and I'm gonna fucking pull my pants down and show my beehole to this fucking satellite up there. We're gonna hum a song, and then the aliens are gonna come down and make contact with us. Like, it's like, okay, you just, even if it was true, like you just made it way too extreme for me to believe it anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if that's the way that I gotta contact people, is fucking going out in the middle of the desert and humming along and fucking showing my butthole to the sky, like that's one thing. But
That's what I do.
at the,
It works.
I mean,
They
that's
come.
what you're gonna do when you go to fucking Arizona. That's what you're gonna be
You're
doing.
doing that
You're
with
gonna be like,
me and
all right,
Melinda.
bro.
Me and Melinda, my wife, will be sticking our buttholes in the sky, and the aliens will arrive.
Yeah, get some B-hole B-roll for us on that one.
You know that David Grush guy that was doing all
Yeah.
the congressional hearings? For one, I thought the guy was in his like 40s or something. This guy is only a year older than like myself here. A year younger than you. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit. And then like this guy's claiming that he's seen all this, like, or he's read into all these projects and stuff. He's got an incredible background of the different intelligence organizations and projects he's worked on. And like, who was talking about it? I forget if it was Jeremy Corbell or if it was somebody else. But the thing about him is, like, so the way he got around to, like, disclosing everything he has is basically, it had something to do with confronting these projects, but them not confirming nor denying that they existed or something. So, like, it was like something like he tricked them. Like, I feel like the way he went about it was like, if he asked them about it and they actually told him a straight answer, it would reveal everything. But that's how he's saying how it, like, why it's revealing is because they won't confirm nor deny that this project's taking place. Like, they should be saying no, if anything, like, no, this never happened. But they won't.
But then it makes anything that he asks not believable. Because if you can't, I can't confirm or deny that. That's like the fucking. That's in the handbook for the government answers. Even if it's happening.
No. I'm not saying it right.
Makes it look bad.
It's no. It's not like they're confirming nor denying. It's like
they're
forget
not denying it 100%.
Right.
So it makes it somewhat plausible, but at the same time, because they didn't say yes, it still makes it implausible.
Here's what I'm telling you. I think there's a lot of people in Congress that fucking believe what he was saying there, and then they also had a backdoor meeting with him, and they got a lot more out of that. But actually, now that I'm starting to think about it, I don't think the backdoor meeting ever happened because he only said that he would do it if it was in a skiff and they all had the clearances. And I think they had the clearances, but they never got the skiff. And it never happened. Because I forget what the acronym for skiff is, but it's a secure room. It's basically a room that has a bunch of white noise playing on the outside of it, and it's heavily insulated. And then I don't think you can get cell phone receptions or anything in them either. So it's basically, it draws out every kind of wireless signal, and then people walking by can't hear anything because there's a bunch of white noise. They just have white noise speakers in the hallways, so you can't hear anything that's going on. So that's basically what a skiff is. It's just like a place to just talk about top secret shit, and not get leaked out, I guess. I don't know. But yeah,
I don't know.
I wish he could tell.
They need to get like. I feel like everybody that has a conspiracy theory, there's like some weird fucking thing about them. Like, why can't it just be a normal person that is the representative for these people? I feel like that's where they have that disconnect. Is that even if this shit is true and these people are not off their rocker, there's just something about them that's always just off. Just a little bit. It doesn't matter who it is, but it's like, like that Dr. Greer guy. If it was just, I'm a fucking surgeon and this is what I believe and this is what I know and blah, 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 perfectly fine. But then all of a sudden there's just that little extra that's like, so then.
Oh, but people come to me and they're, well, what I don't like about his story is it's like all of a sudden people are coming to him. Like, and it's like, that's how he like puts it. He's like, and he like starts crying about it too. Like, he's just like, he gets so emotional that like all of a sudden all these people start coming to him. And I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out like, why are they fucking coming to you? Like, why? Like, but he claims like he has insights with his family working for Northrop Grumman and all that, but like like it's so like convoluted, like how he got read into it. It's just like, okay, you're a fucking surgeon. You do heart surgeries, like, and you do emergency surgeries, but then like some high up somebody in the military or somebody comes up to you and is just like, I'm gonna give you this fucking information. I want you, like, he, like, I don't know if somebody, like, I can't remember, like, he doesn't, like, exactly tell that origin story. Like, he just basically says, like, for one, he says he was into meditating, so, like, things came to him, okay? That's kind of a red flag one. That could be a crazy person, But it could also be ignorant people not understanding, like, a real power. a real ability.
Yeah.
You know. But then like the second thing is like yeah, he's a surgeon for all these years, and then like somewhere in the 80s, like he gets all these documents about like secret space programs and aliens and shit. And because of his fucking meditating back in the 70s when he got bit by a fucking snake in the Bahamas or whatever, like
Exactly, like
it's all coming together now. And then like now it's just like, okay, I'm still gonna do surgeries, but I'm also gonna go on like interviews on like news broadcasts and talk about the secrecy of UFOs and all this shit. And then it's become this like 40-year or 30, 40-year like life's work. And like, I'm just like, how did you have time to be a fucking surgeon? Like, if you're
Yeah.
doing all these goddamn lectures and shit. And, you know, like, a UFO person will tell you, like, yeah, we do things to make money, but we're not making money. Like they're like we're not like because we do all these lectures and stuff. We're not bringing in buku dollars. Like it sounds like most of their money goes to the places that are hosting them. You know what I mean? And like, and they're making a little bit to get by and live in a home and have nice things. I'm not gonna say they're living poor, but they're living comfortably for sure. But they're not making like to where, you know, they can buy like Teslas and mansions and all this other shit. So
I don't know. I think there's a lot to this that there's so many levels to all of these theories that's just again
that's
like they could be so believable, but then there's always just that one thing that you're just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like
we
we
need to
just
get
need
an
somebody
expert.
that's yeah, we need an expert that's fucking good. You know what I mean? That's just a straight edge dude that you could be like, fuck, this guy knows what the hell he's talking about. He doesn't seem like he's bought out or
You know, that was nice about the documentary I did too. Like, so when we did that Tinley Park Lights thing, we did find a college professor out in what was it, in Arizona, and like he wrote an article about like the disclosure of like the government and like how we should not like just like basically he was saying like we should take it serious for sure. You know, like he wasn't being weird about it. He wasn't being conspiracy theory about it. He was just like, no, this is important. Like our technology is picking it up. It means it's out there, and we need to see what it is before we jump to conclusions on what it is and stuff. So it was nice getting that perspective. Like, I mean, like he's like, you know what? I want to believe that we're not the only people in this, you know, universe, but it could be. We could be. But like there's obviously something going on. And like people have been trying to kind of cover it up. And it could be a number of reasons just because we don't have the information. We don't have the technology to understand it. You know, and I'll also say this. There's this CIA guy, Andrew Bustamante. He was on the show, the Sean Ryan show. And so Sean Ryan started asking. So Andrew's like into China. That's basically where he probably did most of his CIA work, was in China and, you know, getting intel on the Chinese and all that shit. But, like, he also had a little aspect of UFO. And, like, you know, he's not like somebody that necessarily believes that they exist, but he believes that we should investigate what's being talked about and like what people are seeing. And what I found was interesting is he started pulling up, like started saying like how there are places within the world where they have just like heavy concentration of minerals and or heavy minerals and stuff like that, or just minerals in general. And like so, you know, when we get back to the pyramids on how like there was different stones and different minerals that built those things, right? And then like there's a belief that because there was a river that ran under some of these, that the river was touching minerals that, when touching water, would create an electrical charge. And so there's a belief that the Egyptians were making electricity, through their pyramids or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So back to like what he was saying is, he's like, so it was kind of like the smart way, or like the nice way of saying swamp gas, like it's just swamp gas,
Mm-hmm.
or a scientific way of saying that. But no, he's basically saying that,
Swamp ass.
yeah, he's basically
Scientific swamp ass.
saying that there's these areas in the world that have these heavy concentrations of minerals that react electromagnetically. And basically, we don't know enough about the world when things happen. So, like, say there's an earthquake or something. Like, we don't know exactly what's being released. Like, we know that there was a buildup of energy. And so, all of a sudden, an earthquake happened. We know rocks and stuff started grinding against each other. There's a whole lot of dust that was created. There's land separation and all this stuff. But, like, what exactly is being released from the earth when that happens, we don't fully fucking know. And that can react with electromagnetic frequencies, which some of these areas in the world are creating this just naturally because of the minerals that are in the area and that are mixing with water, or there's a friction of water running past it that's creating a charge, like a static charge or something. And then all of a sudden it looks like a fucking ball of gas in the sky, and it's like, oh my god, it's a fucking UFO or something. So that's what he was getting at. He's like, I don't want to discount UFOs, but there's still a lot about our planet that we just don't understand quite yet. And we're getting there, but he's like, some of that could be explained by electromagnetic frequencies interacting with a certain element or something like that. My theory is we have these places around the earth, and they do give off some kind of electromagnetic frequency, but I'm the one that believes aliens exist, so aliens are coming in, essentially recharging off that energy. You know what I mean? So that's why, like, a place like Sedona, you get a lot of UFO encounters because, I mean, this is me asking my fucking tour guide out there, Melinda Leslie, and, that was one belief she had, was it might be a recharging station. She's like, I don't know, but, like, this place does give off a weird energy. She's brought, like, scientists out there, too. Like, they've taken electromagnetic frequency tests, and some people have said they're off the fucking rockers here when they're doing these things. So it's interesting. So, but maybe I'll fight a skinwalker though when I'm out there, dude. I'll go buy a sword and shit, and I'll be Blade.
Skinwalkers are made up of our lost foreskins.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's what it is. No, it's the pact that the United States made with the natives in order for the United States to be its country and the natives not to use their magic against, the white people, that every person born in the United States has to give, every male born, I should say, has to give up their fucking foreskin for the foreskin walkers.
It's plausible.
I think that's what it is. But
100%.
But Jared, I think we did it. I think we actually did a 2-hour show today. You didn't think we could do it, but we did it.
I didn't think so. I mean, it's well over if you include our table read, but
no, not actually. Well, yeah, but the table read I did.
It's well.
I stopped when we went for a break, so it's its own separate file. So I mean, when you came back, I hit the record button. So I mean, we're pretty accurate on timing of what we talked about here. We talked for about an hour and 53 minutes. So.
Well, all right then.
Now the question is, do we make this half of this episode 65, the other half 66? I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. But everybody, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed Conspiracy Theory night here, full moon conspiracy theory. It's not always that we get a full moon on a Saturday. So, and on top of it, we've always talked about this in the past. Most of the times, the full moon is actually happening during the day. This full moon is actually happening right fucking now. It rose at 5 p.m. today, and it's still up there, man. It's still up there till 1 o'clock a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, it was a good night. Skinwalkers, Jimi Hendrix, everything, man.
All kinds of good shit.
All kinds of great shit. But, all right, everybody. Take it easy. We'll see you for episode 66.
Or 67.
Or 68. Fuck it. 69.
No, that'll be it. That's our special. We have to have somebody on for episode 69.
Yeah, we're going to work on that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be in Sedona in 69. Who knows?